See, she's even moving.
Welcome to the Breakthrough the Ordinary podcast. Are you ready to commit yourself to your future? If you are, sibling duos Marc and Claudine Chiarmonte will take you on a journey of self-discovery to unlock your highest potential. Through impactful conversations with entrepreneurs, thought leaders, coaches, and healers, we will share practical strategies and tools to generate the life you envision. New podcasts will be dropping every Monday.
Woohoo! And we have the beautiful Liz Haber Zambrano with us today. She's the founder of Living in Zen Coaching. Through her private clients and her career in personal development and coaching school since 2011, she has helped transform the lives of over 10,000 people. I knew you, and that was impressive.
Yeah.
You're a certified international coach. You're a master level trainer of the sacred feminine, which I think every woman should do. And there's a masculine that matches that, which is wonderful. You're also trained in the creative insight journey and have helped many people through that. As a clarity coach, Liz Haber Zambrano is an expert in coaching people who feel sidetracked in their lives or on a self-sabotaging streak they can't seem to break. Her expertise is in supporting people in defining their purpose and creating a life of fulfillment, harmony, and joy. And welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Honor to be here.
Yes. I've missed your face. It's great to see you.
I miss you and this energy. Feels great.
Yeah. We've known you. I'd like our listeners to understand a little bit more about your journey, right? You're a transformational trainer, and I'm not even sure people will know what that means. I think maybe they know what coaching means. But so could you just share your journey, what inspired you to take this path?
Sure. I have a crazy journey. All right. So it started about 10 years ago, and I was young. I in my early 20s, really caring about what my family thought of me, wanting to make everybody proud, what my peers thought of me, and feeling as though I had to have, like, my entire life was already laid out for me. And I had to follow this path and achieve and do all of these things. And the pressure that I was putting on myself and experiencing got to be a lot. And I turned to drugs and alcohol in college to cope with what I was experiencing. And eventually that didn't work. And I needed to get help. And I went on a journey of recovery for myself. And during that journey, I was also introduced to transformational and personal development practices and experiences and ideas. And I found that it was time for me to live the life that I wanted to, and not the life that I thought other people wanted me to live. And it took a lot of courage, but I think the journey of having hit a rock bottom and feeling as though everything fell apart, everything I was trying so hard to keep together just fell apart, was actually one of the greatest things that could have happened to me, because it's almost as though I had a blank slate to build on. So being introduced to the world of coaching and training and working with adults, I realized I was really good at it. I was good at working with these people. And I didn't know that would happen. And I found this path for me that was so fulfilling. It was so fulfilling to be able to work with others and guide and train and see them go on their journeys, similar to things that I had experienced, and see people create these results in their life that they thought they never could have happen. Like, I thought I never could have imagined that my life would end up here. And I am so grateful that it did. So that's how I got involved, and I've been doing it ever since. Yes.
10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Big contribution. And I understand how you've impacted 10,000 lives now.
Very impactful.
Yeah.
Very great coach, too.
Thank you.
First-hand knowledge. Can you explain, I know you deal in the masculine, feminine energies a lot. Can you explain for our listeners, what that is and how you see it?
Sure. Yes. Okay, so masculine and feminine energies are principles, dynamics. They're energies that we see playing out all over the universe. So they're energies that live within each of us, and we also see them expressed outside of us. Like if you think of the sun, sun is a very masculine energy, and the moon is more of a feminine energy. But they both come together to create what we have here on Earth, the tides,
Mm.
the sun, all of it works together. And if one is out of balance, then things begin to fall apart. And if you can think of let's start with the masculine. The masculine energy, we're actually very familiar with it. It is a dominant energy. It is a getting things done, accomplishing, conquering, a very driven, focused, linear, single focus type of energy. And it has a lot to do with all the things that we're able to create and have happen. It's a very doing energy. Another way to think of it is also it's a giving energy. And then the feminine energy is an energy that is the more of the receiving energy. It's creative, it's intuitive,
Mm-hmm.
it's nurturing, it's connected, it's um, passionate, it is sensual, it is connected to nature, it's holistic in its thinking. So if you think of the masculine
Mm-hmm.
as a single focus type of energy, driven energy, think of the feminine as a circular energy, almost like a womb, where there's a lot of things
Mm.
happening. We don't always understand what that is, but it's happening. And you don't need a lot of doing to create with the feminine energy. And these energies show up as ways of being or being in the world, or traits that are prevalent in the way that we are as humans. So if you think of a masculine energy, and we can get into this in a little bit, like we call it the sacred masculine. Sacred masculine is strong, protective, worships the feminine, supportive, present.
Mm.
It's productive, it's confident, it is honorable, it is loyal. And the sacred feminine, the principle of that shows up as compassionate, wise, in touch with nature, in touch with sexuality, sensuality, intuition, in the flow of energy and receiving and passionate and sometimes angry, but in a wise, passionate, like that's what's needed right now type of way. Yes.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
You mentioned the word sacred, and I love that you gave me a metaphor. I've never even thought about the circular womb piece.
Mm.
And to me, if there's that energy, we always have the light, and I'll just use the word dark, metaphorically.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the toxic male and the toxic female, what's that dance? You can
Yes. Yeah,
elaborate on that.
actually, absolutely. And I love that you just said male and female, because it's not necessarily male and female, but it's often collapsed that way. These are energies that exist in all of us. However, most commonly, if you are a woman or somebody that identifies as a woman, most likely you present or you resonate more with the feminine energy. And same thing if you are a man or a male or somebody that identifies as a man, you'll resonate more with the masculine energy at your essence. Now, we also kind of put masks over, especially in our society that really honors the masculine, mostly the toxic masculine that we'll talk about in just a second. Sometimes we feel as though we're masculine if we're in a female body or identify as a woman, but sometimes that happens because we feel like we put a protective mask on, like we have to be that way to be taken seriously or to be valued. So the unhealthy feminine energy can look like it's depressed or victimy, that victim energy, martyry, codependent, low self-esteem. Go ahead. Were you going to say something, Connie? Yeah.
No, I never even thought about it.
Yeah.
I'm having like the aha moment. I'm like, oh, I never even thought about that as the toxic feminine.
Yes,
Okay.
jealous, gossipy. We don't want other people to be happy, controlling, spiteful, inability to express their needs, like can't say what they want, and also puts everyone else before themselves. So that goes to the martyry piece, puts everyone before themselves, and also can't necessarily in control of their emotions in any way. So they're just spilling out over everything and everyone, no matter what. Yeah, those are some traits of the toxic or unhealthy feminine when we're in that space. And the unhealthy masculine looks like destroys everything in their path, ruthless, dominating, sees themselves as separate, very egoic or egotistical, cannot take criticism well, does not handle it well, easily stressed, feels threatened very easily, stubborn, deceitful, strives and strives and strives without ever taking, like when it's time to rest, without ever taking breaks or resting, like just go, 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 push through no matter what, to the detriment of themselves and those around them and the environment in many ways.
I'm sitting here thinking of this past few years of our country. In particular, we're in the midst, of a pandemic and political and things of how, with your awareness, I'm sitting here going, wow, these energies have been mixing it up in some grander scales. And I guess it always is there, right? Nature and storms. And sometimes it's gotten more intimate, right? Where, like, you can even look at a pandemic as, what are we bringing forth with these energies? Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the reasons that I got really interested in this work was because I saw the imbalance that has been happening for, you could say, thousands of years, because those qualities of the sacred feminine, the feminine principle and energy, they haven't really been valued or seen as important. And the energy that's been leading the most has been the toxic or the unbalanced, unhealthy masculine energy. That's the energy that has us build and create all these incredible things, but at the detriment of the environment, the world, the people, its inhabitants. So the toxic masculine, the feminine, or the unhealthy masculine will just build, build, build at whatever costs. And like I said, it's not just, this isn't gender. So a lot of women have also been taught or feel as though to be, like I was saying earlier, to be valued or to feel important or to be taken seriously, we also will fall into that toxic masculine. So the piece that attracted me was supporting and bringing the feminine energy back into balance. Like you'll hear a lot, like the feminine is rising. That's what we're talking about. This energy back into balance, not from the unhealthy version, but from that wise, compassionate, nurturing, fierce, abundant version of the feminine. Because as that piece rises, that toxic, unbalanced masculine energy also starts to shift into the healthy masculine. So it's not like the feminine's rising and screw the masculine energy, right? We're not going to just go completely the other way, but it's bringing them back into balance so they can balance one another out, and we can see that play out on the world, in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always explain it as, I feel like we've been creating a masculine world from the masculine,
Mm-hmm.
and really, as we heal, can we create a masculine world, but listening to the feminine? So the feminine is the impetus to create the world, and then the masculine will create it from the feminine.
Yes.
Much nicer
Yes.
place.
Absolutely.
So,
I was going to say,
we always love to give.
Sorry.
Go
I
ahead. Go
just I was
ahead.
just gonna say you need both energies because the masculine is a doing energy. So when it's directed, like you're saying, by the feminine that sees a holistic, the other piece, if you think of the circle, it's whole, it sees the whole picture. They'll build in a way that's conscious and benefits all, including the planet. Yeah.
I like that world. Mm,
Mm.
thank you. So we always like to give our listeners tools and ways of. So can you explain like how we would heal some of the wounds of the masculine, feminine in coaching and training? You know, if they were working with you, and also in life. Say they're not with a coach. How can we start to look at and heal those places, those wounds
Sure.
in the masculine and
I
feminine?
the first listening to this podcast because a lot of us operate from these places and we're not having this conversation really. And it's happening, but we don't necessarily know that it's happening. So awareness of, wait a minute, there are qualities and energies that when I step into create results or feelings that feels much better than when I'm operating from the toxic or the unhealthy masculine or feminine. So knowing that there's another
Mm-hmm.
option, which you may have experienced, of course, you've probably experienced it in your life, but you didn't maybe have the language for it or know what was happening. So learning about it first off, and then some
Mm-hmm.
practical tools. So the masculine, in its natural state, the masculine is a giver and worships the feminine in the sacred space, in the sacred energy, not in the unhealthy energy. And sometimes like the masculine energy needs alone time. It needs alone time working on some type of project that they're passionate about and whatever that could look like. So it could be like going in the woods, going hiking, connecting in that way, or sitting in the garage or the man cave, building a Lego set, or building something like something that you're creating and doing with your hands. That does a lot to recharge and give space to the masculine. Sometimes it's even video games, like sitting playing video games. You see that a lot, but used in a way that's like, okay, I'm creating this space to give back to myself, to rest and maybe not go, but give myself some alone time. That's a great tool for them to recharge the masculine. The feminine, in terms of shifting, if you notice that you're in the toxic and shifting into the sacred, the feminine connecting with sensuality, like the things that you can feel from your senses, and connecting with the sense of pleasure, which is like the enjoyment of life. Because the feminine is so connected to life. If you think about it, it's responsible for creating it in so many ways. So any ways that we can get back to that, whether that's dancing or having a beautiful meal and taking time to really enjoy it and not just scarfing some food down as you go from thing to thing, but resting. Um, Anything that gets you in your body. The self-care movement is actually there. It's super onto something like creating breaks and making it important enough because for a long time we never valued those things like taking care of yourself. That wasn't valued, and I'm so grateful that in today's in our life today that it is being valued because we're seeing the benefits of what happens when we take those times for ourselves. Because when we're giving in the masculine, we get drained out, we get burnt out. It's not sustainable. There's depression, anxiety. We go straight to that unbalanced feminine. But these practical ways to really stay connected. The other piece about the feminine is it needs to stay connected. It's important to stay connected to something greater than yourself. So whether that's a spirituality, the universe, anything that can connect you to that bigger piece of you, the divine. And that could look like meditation, journaling, attending different workshops, reading different books, sitting in prayer, whatever that is, but something to get yourself, the feminine, connected, because that's where so much of the intuition faculties begin to open up in that space.
What does that dance or harmony of energies look like in an intimate relationship? I mean, you're married, have your first child. How do we, dance together?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. First, it's to notice what is your core essence, because we'll say you'll dance between both within yourself and in a day, many times throughout a day. So what's the core essence? And that essence beyond any maybe masks that you felt you had to put on to survive. So it's not necessarily, it's like when I feel the most relaxed, do I experience myself more as feminine in the feminine principle or the masculine principle? This would go for both parties. And once you sort of see that, the way it would look in an intimate relationship. So if here's the my favorite metaphor. Think of a seed and the soil. So the soil would be the feminine energy. So that the feminine energy is able to create and grow many seeds in their soil at one time. The feminine energy has there's a woman named Alison Armstrong that does some great work on feminine and masculine dynamics. She calls it diffuse awareness. So the feminine can see all of the things that are happening all at one time. So I could be on this podcast with you, hear the baby crying in the background, know the garbage needs to be taken out, la, la, la. But the masculine being more singular focused, it's just here with you. This is the only thing that it's doing right now, and nothing else exists. You can see this a lot if you're trying to have a conversation with somebody and they're masculine and they're in the middle of doing something. They don't hear you. You had a whole conversation. You're like, hello, did you hear me? No, they didn't, because they're singular focused. That's one of the biggest breakdowns I see in communication relationships is the feminine is like, why can't you see that all these things need to happen? And the masculine, they can't. They're singular focused, but they take direction from the feminine energy. So that looks like if in your partnership, I need you, or can you please, wash the dishes or whatever the things are, take the car for an oil change, do these things. And when we're in our healthy, feminine, healthy masculine, those things happen naturally because the masculine wants to give. So the seed and soil metaphor, the feminine, you can think of as it being the nurturer or the party to grow the seeds in their soil. So you can have the masculine seed in your soil, you can have projects in your soil, you can have many things because the feminine has diffuse awareness. You can have children or pets, animals, all these things that you love and you care about, and they grow in your space when we're in the sacred or the healthy feminine principle. And the masculine is the seed. It only has one potential. The seed that it grows into the tree that it's meant to grow in. But if you take that seed and you put it in soil that's not nutritious, that seed will shrivel up and die or leave that space. It can't grow. So that's another reason that I work with the feminine principle, because the feminine has so much to do with how the masculine turns out, has so much to do with creating that sacred masculine. But if we're operating, or the feminine principle is operating in that healthy, unbalanced place, with good reason in many cases, it also, of course, doesn't help the masculine to come out of their healthy, unbalanced place. Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Very helpful.
Yeah, that was insightful. I noticed that when I'm working and somebody calls me, it's like, I'm working and I talk on the phone and I know I'm not present. I just can't be there. I try. It's just never the conversation. I get off the phone. I'm like, I wasn't even there.
Yeah. And a great question, a great place if you know that, and you're in the feminine as the essence, that happens to the masculine, you'll stop getting mad and stop saying that they're not paying attention to you. And you can do things like, hey, I see that you're doing something right now. When would be a good time to talk to you? And let them have the space to come back and tell you when that would be, because you won't have their attention. And the same thing, because we dance in all these in through the masculine and feminine so often, especially when I'm working with female or women clients. One of the things that they come up against is they're very masculine at work, because usually our work is a very masculine driven, task driven, get things done, go, go, go. And then they come home and they don't want to be that way anymore. Or they notice that they take that masculine energy home, where they, in their relationship, they want to relax into their feminine. So we work on some transition practices to really consciously step into, okay, that was that. And now let me, it could look like, let me dance for a second. Let me put on a silk robe. Let me smell something beautiful, something to just trigger, like, it's okay to relax now and be in the feminine when I come home, or when I'm with my partner, whatever that looks like. Yeah.
So we usually do a challenge, and sometimes we write it down, and sometimes it comes up. But right now, I see a challenge as in your energy, whatever it is, the masculine or feminine, where you need some cultivating of it. So if it's the feminine, go do something, pleasure. Even if in man, go do something that's pleasure or taste or whatever. And if it's the masculine, go to nature, go do something that feeds that essence that you haven't been feeding.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's the masculine, I don't know if it's your buddies or silent time or whatever it is, and then the masculine. So that'd be a great challenge that everybody could post on, Instagram, Facebook, on our group. So.
Yes.
And if you want to add to that.
Sure. The only thing I'd say is, if you're coming from the feminine, be careful not to make this a challenge of like, now there's something else I have to do, right? It would be coming from a space of, how can I give to myself and receive whatever it is that I want to have happen. Like, the feminine is receptive and receives fully. So coming from that place, not like a checklist type of place. That's a very masculine way of being with it. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you for
clarifying.
Yes.
I know that you have, we've mentioned the word sacred feminine as a training. Mm-hmm. And I also know you have a group coaching program as well as your individual coaching. Elaborate on that and share, any of those programs with our listeners.
Yes, I would love to. Thank you. So the Sacred Feminine workshop, it's a 2-day, right now because of COVID, it's a 2-day virtual retreat. And our live version is a 3-day in person. And we really it's designed for women and people who identify as women to take some time to really connect to this feminine principle, because like I said, it's not necessarily valued in our society, and we haven't been taught it very often. And you spend 3 days immersed in the principle, experiencing it. We do experiential exercises and all of these things. It's fantastic. And then the second course that we designed, myself and Holly Burby co-created it. She's a relationship coach. And we saw a need to take those principles, because not every woman has 3 days or 2 full days to give to this, but they can have an hour and a half once a week or an hour and a half once a month to create. We took the principles and turned it into practical tools, like I shared with you right now, so that you can implement into your everyday life for 6 weeks or 6 months. We have 2 versions of it. And that's been really fantastic. So every week we have a topic like radiance or self-worth, power from the feminine perspective, and we embody it, we embrace it, and we have practices to go along with it so you can really experience it. Yeah.
What's the name of that program? Is it also Sacred Feminine?
It's the Practical Guide to Feminine Power. The Practical Guide to Feminine Power.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That'll all be in the show notes and everything when we're done.
Sure.
Yeah.
So motherhood is a new change in your life. Been here for a little while. How has that impacted, or the energies in you like you're masculine and feminine, because here's a whole new life. There's a different person to take care of. And what has that shifted or moved or opened up in you?
I love that question because I'll take any question to talk about my baby. Her name is Naomi. She's only almost one. She'll be
Yeah.
one next week. Um, it has been a journey. I'd like to say I did not walk gracefully into motherhood. It was like, wake up here, or because you're going to be awake every 2 hours. It was intense. It was a lot, and at the same time, I never experienced like that amount of love at one time, and it's been an incredible journey. And in relation to the question of the dance, yes, when I've got to, make sure her bags are packed, or she has her clothes and her bottles and the food, and you're thinking of all the things and making the diaper bag and the stroller. That's very masculine in terms of completing things, going. And at the same time, when I'm holding her, when I'm with her, when I'm feeding her, when I'm putting her to sleep, I'm experiencing that nurturing, compassionate, um, beautiful side of the feminine as well. So
Mm.
I dance a lot, and there's been some moments where I can be so much into, because the feminine being masculine also brings with her the diffuse awareness, the I can see all the things that need to happen. And there's been times where I can get so focused on all of the things, everything that's sticky and needs to get cleaned, or the crumbs that are everywhere and all this stuff, that I miss out. I can miss out on what's happening. And those are the moments that I'm like, wait a minute. The feminine principle would have me being here and enjoying my baby right now and not really worrying about the sticky counters, because they will get cleaned in time when the time is there. But it's not, let me clean the counters over being present with my baby right now. You see what I'm saying? When I can switch into
Mhm.
that feminine principle from the unbalanced feminine that's like controlling, oh my God, everything has to be done right now, and it's all up to me, or else nothing will happen and I'm not able to receive anything, I'm having a crazy bad day. But when I can remember that, I enjoy it all. And guess what? The counters get cleaned. They don't stay sticky forever. It gets taken care of, and it works out. Yeah, so it's been a great journey in that.
Mm. And how are you receiving through motherhood?
Hmm, that's a great question. Hmm. I would say when she smiles when I walk in the door, or she grabs and gives me a hug. Now she's starting to walk and she wants to run and love me. I can put my head in her little lap and she'll just hold my head, and I'm receiving the love that I'm giving right back to me through her. That's how I see that. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you for sharing
Hmm.
that. I'm friends and colleagues with Liz, and I love watching even your exercising together. Right? There's these moments that you're jump roping a few weeks ago, and she's in the motion. Like, she's not jump roping, but she is in synchronicity with
Yeah.
you in her way.
Hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Finding that flow of relating to mommy.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
it's
And
great.
she
It's great
and
to
she
watch.
teaches me so much about, another thing I receive is everything is new to her, and she finds wonder in everything, and she's showing me that I can do that too. That even though I think I know what everything is, I can actually stop and look at it as if it was brand new and find the same wonder that she's finding. So she's also giving me that as well, that wonder.
Mm.
Mm. Mm.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Hmm.
They are great teachers, aren't
Yes.
they? Amazing teachers they are.
Yeah.
It's lessons that don't change. Teachings don't change. We're going to transition into our quick fire
Huh?
questions. And these are areas that we'd ask you to be spontaneous and short and to the point, right? Heartfelt, laser, and impactful.
All right. It's my favorite type of question.
Sure. There you go. You want to start, Mark?
Yeah. Oh, where in your life do you feel the most vulnerable, and how do you handle that? How do you deal with that?
When I'm sharing publicly and speaking publicly, and I handle it by saying, if I can support one person, if one person can hear what I'm saying and it helps them in any way, it's worth it. Yeah.
You seem natural at it, but okay, thank you.
No.
How do you define love?
Love is, to me, an energy. It's a force, a power that is there all the time, regardless if we recognize it or not. But because it's always there, we have the capacity to tap into it at any time. And it only amplifies as we give it away. It does not shrink or diminish in any way.
So do you have any daily routines or habits that make you more effective or help you show up more effective?
Yes. If you asked me this a year ago, I would have had many more. But because of this baby, it's not as yes. Okay. So in the morning, I read A Course in Miracles. So that works for me. And I take a moment in meditation, and it's 5-10 minutes, because that may be all I have in the morning, and that works for me. I also think cuddling is a practice. And so I'll take a few minutes in the morning cuddling in bed with my baby or my dog or my husband, and that releases some endorphins. So that also keeps me connected and grounded. And then in the evening, I like to journal or read from any book that reminds me that I'm divine and amazing. And I also listen to a lot of podcasts or audiobooks or things throughout my day. You can always find something playing in the speakers in my house in some way. That's what it looks like right now.
Great.
Yeah.
That's pretty, I just want to say that's pretty good for having a baby. That's really good.
Thank you.
What are your two favorite books and your two favorite songs?
Oh, gosh. Okay. My two favorite books.
I know, too. We're learning.
All right. Right now, one of my favorite books is The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. It was a little book written in 1925, and it really it speaks to universal law and the power of your thoughts. And then my second favorite book, maybe my first on some days, is the Tao Te Ching. That always just brings me right back. Can I also say all 7 Harry Potters?
What the heck?
Okay. All right, that's in there as well. Songs. Right now it's Bill Withers' Happy Day, because it makes my baby calm every time we play it. And she loves Bill Withers. I'm blanking on a second favorite song. I don't know if I can choose one. Nah, I'm gonna have to pass on that one.
Got it.
So this is one right to the heart. So what are your superpowers?
Okay. I think my superpower is I have an ability to be compassionate. I can put myself in somebody else's shoes very easily. I think because I've gone and experienced so much, and I had such a tumultuous past in some ways, that I understand the human experience pretty well. So that's one of I can put myself in somebody else's shoes. I can also make dinner, record a podcast, fold the laundry, run a business, change a diaper, and take care of a dog and a husband all at one time in a day.
Sacred feminine.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Lots of soil in that house.
Yes, yes. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, Liz? This has been, touching to reconnect and to hear your wisdom that you've shared. But I want to give you space. Is there anything you would like to share with us or our listeners?
Yeah, thank you. One, I love this opportunity. I love to speak about this topic. And the feminine energy is there. It's always been there. And like I said, we've forgotten what it is, and it's coming back. So anything that we can do to honor that energy and bring it back into balance supports the world as a whole. And it doesn't mean the feminine rises and the masculine shrinks. That's not what it is. It means the feminine rises and the masculine rises right along with it in balance. And so my passion is this work. So anything you can do to practice this in your life contributes, I believe, to peace on our planet in so many ways. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
This has been an honor and a pleasure to reconnect.
Me
with
too.
You. Yes.
Great,
oh my God.
Great to see you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Naomi's going to be a year
I
old.
know.
I can't
I
believe
know.
it. It's
It happened
great.
so fast.
Such wisdom
It's
you
great.
share.
Thank you.
It did. It did.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Mhm.
And thank you for being
thank
willing
you.
and being a yes.
Absolutely. I'm always a yes to either of you. Whatever you do is great. And I'm a huge fan of both of you. So thank you for having me.